Hello friends, and welcome back to Meg's Holistic Haven. I'm Meg, and I'm so excited that you're joining me for another Wellness Wednesday. So today we're going to be talking about intuitive eating, which has become such a buzzword, but a lot of people don't know what it actually is and don't know where it came from. So today we're going to talk all about what it is, where it came from, and the 10 steps for intuitive eating. If you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, make sure to hit the like button because it really supports my channel, and make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another upload. So, where did intuitive eating come from? I'm so glad you asked. So, intuitive eating was a concept that was created by two dietitians back in the 1990s, and they were Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch, which I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing the names wrong. I'm bad with names, side note. But they were two dietitians that were working with clients and realized that diets don't work, and both were having the same kinds of issues. They were both having issues with clients who were doing all the diets, were doing all of the meal plans, all of that, and still weren't getting long-term results. They were still struggling, still having that mental battle. And so they wrote a book. And the book was published in 1995, and it's called Intuitive Eating: An Anti-Diet Approach. And from then on, intuitive eating has taken off, and it's become this huge thing that has helped so many people find a holistic and sustainable way of living. It's the way I eat. So I want to share it with you because it's so helpful for a myriad of reasons, but the main one just being that it's sustainable. It's something that you can do for the rest of your life to get away from the diet. Like the title of the book says, it's an anti-diet approach. So it has no restrictions. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet, because no one wants to be on a diet for the rest of their life. No one wants to do that. That's not fun, which means that no one's gonna keep doing it for years down the line. So if you're looking to get out of the diet cycle, get out of that roller coaster, out of that loop-de-loop that they get you trapped in with the MyFitnessPal and counting your macros and cutting out all carbs, and I see all of you because I was you. So if you're coming from there, know that there is another way. And I'm going to share that way with you today. Also, I'm sweating so much, so if you really just see me glowing and shining, it's sweat. It's so warm where I live. It's so warm. It's so warm. Anyway, the first thing to really talk about when you talk about intuitive eating is the 10 principles behind intuitive eating. And I think this is a step that a lot of people miss, because you hear intuitive eating and you think, you know, the catchphrase, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, which is true, and it is a part of it, but it's not the entire picture. So in order to get a well-rounded picture of it, if you're looking to start trying something like this, then the 10 principles is the way to go. So let's get into those 10 principles. So the first principle of intuitive eating is to reject the diet mentality. Now, as we said from the title of the book, it's an anti-diet approach. So it's one that doesn't count calories, it doesn't count macros, it doesn't restrict in any aspect of your food, which for a lot of people can be really alarming. For so many people, and I know for myself, it was so hard to release the idea that you had to rely on someone else, otherwise you're going to fall into obesity in the span of a year, when you start listening to your hunger cues, which just doesn't happen. When we truly listen to our bodies, when we truly listen to not only what you're craving, but also when you listen to your energy levels, when you listen to what is your skin feeling like, what is your sleep feeling like, all of those things, and find that way of deciding what your food is, you don't. And our bodies know what to do. Our bodies have known what to do since the beginning of time. And if we only let them tell us what to do, then they can become your best health expert. Principle number 2 is to honor your hunger, which also comes right along with the diet mentality. The diet mentality is completely based on restriction. So having a system that tells you, no, if you're hungry, you can eat, is sort of revolutionary, but it's sad that it's revolutionary. It's sad that we're in a culture where if we're hungry, then we make ourselves wait in order to lose weight and be smaller. So step number 2 is to listen to those cues. Listen to what your body's telling you. If it's hungry, give it nourishment. Step 3 is to make peace with food, which sounds a little odd, but so many people are just at a war with food. They're at a war with themselves. I was at a war with myself. I was always constantly fighting myself and telling myself, you can't have that, and that's a bad food, and I am being bad if I do this, and all of that. And the only way to actually achieve a sustainable way of living where you're not constantly thinking about food, where you're not constantly worrying about what you're putting in your body and worrying if it's gonna make you put on weight, is to make peace with the food. Realize that it is just food. That's all it is. It is not good, it is not bad, it is just food. And we can associate foods with maybe the way it makes us feel in our bodies. So if you eat pizza and cake and ice cream all day long for a week straight, you're probably not gonna feel the best. But that doesn't mean that the food is bad, it just means that that's not the best food if you're looking for energy. So making peace with food to quit the battle against food, because food is not the enemy. And once we make peace with food, we stop feeling like we are restricting. We stop feeling like we're going to rebel, because we are rebellious humans. We stop feeling like we're going to rebel at any given moment and eat that bad food. So when we make peace with food, food loses its power. It gives the power to you instead of giving the power to the food. Right along that same idea, step 4 is to challenge the food police. Now, I know so many of you out there are so familiar with the food police. Let me know if you've heard any of these phrases, which I guarantee most people have. I'm having a cheat day. That's a bad food. I was good today because I ate this. I've been so bad this whole week. I've eaten nothing but. If you weigh this much, then you should be eating these many calories every single day. Carbs make you fat. Fruit has too much sugar. You need to eat 3 full meals a day. No snacks for you. Snacks are for the weak. And so on. You guys get the point. All of these are things that are ingrained in our society. They're ingrained in diet culture, and they cause us to have a war with food. It causes us to see food as the enemy and feel like we're constantly putting these rules on ourselves and constantly pressuring us to comply with diet culture, which works for a period of time. That's why diets temporarily work. But eventually, we don't like rules. We don't like being strapped down to rules for the rest of our lives. So eventually we end up rebelling. Eventually we end up going back to the habits that we already had before. So if we're able to say heck no to the food police and listen to our bodies, we don't have to worry about what the food police says. We don't have to worry about whether something is good or bad. The only thing that matters when you're eating your food is, does it make you feel good? Which is heckin' liberating. The 5th principle to intuitive eating is to discover the satisfaction factor, which I think is a point that a lot of people miss when we start talking about eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, which is a nice little slogan for intuitive eating. But intuitive eating is more than that, because intuitive eating also takes your satisfaction into account. I know I used to be one of those people that would eat, if I wanted pizza or if I wanted ice cream or if I wanted any kind of junk food, I would eat the diet version of it first and say, no, I'm gonna eat the cauliflower pizza, which I think cauliflower pizza is yummy. But if I'm looking for a carby bread, doughy pizza, a cauliflower pizza is not going to satisfy that. So I would eat the diet version of it, so the healthy version, and wonder why I wasn't satisfied. Because I wasn't eating what I wanted. I wasn't eating the thing that I was really, really craving. And, if your cravings aren't that strong, then it's a different story. But for me, I was craving these foods and telling myself, because of the food police, that I wasn't allowed to have them. And that just led to me feeling restricted. And then I would try to eat the diet version of it and still not feel good. So then I would try to eat more of the diet version of it and still not feel satisfied. And then I'd be overly stuffed, but I'd still want the freaking pizza. And maybe I'd even eat the pizza. Maybe I'd even eat the pizza at the end and eat way more of the pizza than I normally would have eaten if I had just had a couple slices of pizza. So all of this to say, to listen to your satisfaction. And being satisfied in the food that you're eating and being able to eat yummy foods that you really crave and that you want to eat is a part of life. And it's a fun part of life. It's so fun to have a birthday and have a piece of cake. But if we're constantly telling ourselves that we're not allowed to have something and we're not allowed to have that satisfaction, that eats us up. And that causes deprivation to the point that then we fly off the handle. And then we feel like we can't control ourselves when we're around those foods because we've been depriving ourselves for so long. So in intuitive eating, you are allowed to eat whatever you're craving, which is so liberating, but also can be stressful to some people. So be prepared that this one can be a little bit hard. And I know it was hard for me because, you start listening to your hunger cues, but listening to what your body is actually wanting is a whole other step, and it's one that takes practice, so be gentle with yourself. Principle number 6 is to feel your fullness. Now, this sort of goes off of satisfaction. All of these sort of go off each other. They're all sort of a progression. But feeling your fullness is, the flip side of feeling your hunger, but acknowledging when your body has had enough, and then acknowledging that you are okay, that if you are full and if you are satisfied, then you can stop eating and you have autonomy over that, which I think is an empowering thing, that you have control over that. No diet is telling you how much you need to eat and when you need to stop. You tell yourself. So if you're full and if you're satisfied, then you don't have to eat anymore. And you have the choice to honor your body, honor your hunger cues, and do what feels best for you. For a lot of my clients, we like to use a thing called a hunger scale, or a fullness scale. So you sort of rate where you are on a scale of 1 to 10. If it's on fullness, 1 is, oh, I just started eating. 10 is like Thanksgiving dinner, I need to unbutton my pants full. And where are you on there? And just getting in the habit of acknowledging where you're at on that scale is a powerful tool in connecting with this, because for so long, we are taught that you have to eat the portion size, or you have to eat the serving size that your dietitian tells you to, or you have to do this or do that, or you have to finish your plate, whatever it may be. So throw out the food rules and start listening to your own fullness cues. Principle number 7 is to cope with your emotions with kindness. And this has to do with emotional eating, which I'm sure 90% of the population has done at some point or another. Something that I used to struggle with so much. I used to have a really bad day or have a really bad week and want food as a comfort. So this step is all about finding other ways that are healthier to cope with that, because food won't make your life better. Food won't relieve the emotional stress that you're going through. Food may satisfy you and make you feel better for a short amount of time, but it is not going to fix your problems. And so detaching the emotions from the food and allowing food to be something that makes you happy, but not something that you rely on for happiness. So principle number 7 is all about finding some other healthier ways of coping with emotions that aren't food. And this is a topic that I love to talk about, and it's one that I could so get into for a long time. So if you guys want to see a video more on how to get out of emotional eating, then let me know. Hit the like button if you want to see that video and want to know more about that, because I could go on and on about that because it's something that's so affected my life. Principle number 8 is to respect your body, and that has a whole lot of facets to it. It's facets about hunger and fullness and respecting what your body is telling you. But it's also respecting the way that you were born. It's respecting your genetics. It's respecting your blueprint, so to speak, of what your body is. And it's something that I've struggled with. I am 5'8". I am never going to be petite. And that's not to say that I think I'm fat. It's not to say that I think I need to lose weight. But me, biologically, I will never be someone who can fit into the petite section of the store, no matter how much weight I lose. And my body sits at where it's comfortable, and all of our bodies eventually find where it just sits comfortably. The weight that feels really comfortable for you, where you feel energized and vibrant and all of those things, but aren't struggling to keep the weight off or to put weight on, whatever it may be. So respecting your body, respecting the body that you were born with, and finding your love for that body, because every body is so unique and it's all beautiful. And if we can just respect that, we can get to a completely different level of intuition. Principle number 9 is moving for enjoyment. And this one is hard for a lot of people because a lot of people really get stuck with feeling like they have to do cardio because it's the best way to burn calories, or they have to go for that run, or they have to go to the weight room in the gym. And this principle, this step, if you will, is all about finding what movement makes you happy. Because when you're doing movement that makes you happy, and you're doing movement that makes you feel vibrant and energized and full of life, then you want to do the movement more. You don't feel like you're punishing yourself with movement. You don't feel like that's what you're dreading after your long day. But rather, it's something to look forward to. It's something that makes you feel good. It's something that makes your body feel the most alive. So finding that, what that means for you. You know, I remember I used to force myself to go on the elliptical for so long because I thought that it was the best way to lose weight, when I hated that. It was not fun. It didn't make me feel good mentally or physically. And so then I found things like going on hikes or doing yoga, or I really love lifting weights. I think it feels really powerful. And finding other methods of movement that work for you and your individual body sort of completes the circle. You know, food is a lot of it, but food isn't everything. So adding in those other components like movement and finding that personalization as well as the food. And principle number 10, and there's a reason that's at the end, is to honor your health with gentle nutrition. And what that means is recognizing that nutrition does matter. Nutrition has a place in intuitive eating. A lot of people think, oh, if I just let myself eat whatever I want to eat, then I am just going to eat pizza and cake all day long. Which you might at the beginning. If you've been really restricting yourself, then you might need to have a day or a week or a month of just eating that, and that can be a part of the process. But eventually acknowledging that there are foods that are really nutrient dense. There are foods that will give you energy. There are foods that will make you feel energized in a way that's different than the junk food. And having that be a part of the food choices that you make. So this last step is all about honoring your hunger, honoring your fullness, honoring your taste buds, honoring your satisfaction indicators, but also honoring what foods make you feel the best, what foods make you feel alive and make you feel energized, and what foods make you feel sluggish, what foods do not do all those things for you, what foods make you feel like you want to lay around all day and be lethargic. And having that be a part of the conversation too, because that part is just as important as all of the rest of it. But I sort of love that this tip is at the end too, because I think when we start with nutrition, it can be really restricting. And I love that it's honor your hunger, honor your fullness, honor your satisfaction, honor your body, and then take nutrition into account. So nutrition is a part of the conversation. It absolutely is. But it's a part of the conversation when it comes to what foods make you feel the best and feel energized and feel like you can conquer the world. So those are the 10 principles all about intuitive eating, and it sort of gets all the different aspects of it. It shows that it's a bit deeper than just eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, and there's a lot of other aspects to it. So if you guys like this kind of content and you want to see more of it, make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and ding the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And let me know in the comments below, which principle do you feel like you struggle the most with? Which one is the most difficult for you? And let's start a dialogue down there, because I think that would be fun. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope that this helps some of you who maybe haven't heard of intuitive eating before or haven't heard the full scope of intuitive eating. And hopefully this helps us all get to a place where we are able to listen to our bodies and honor ourselves. Mwah! Peace out, dudes.